Thank you for coming on the line with us today. My name is John Dubas with Premier Marketing, and we'll be spending the next 45 minutes to an hour or so discussing Cigna's supplemental benefits. We see now in today's age of high deductible programs or programs with substantial co-insurance and co-payments, a need for products that fill the gaps in some of the even what we think of as more comprehensive programs that are there to do just that for other programs. But what we'll do today is spend some time going over Cigna's portfolio of supplemental benefits, and want to assure you that today's presentation is being recorded. It, along with additional reference material, will be sent to you as part of the follow-up to today's presentation. We thank you for coming on the line and spending some time with us. We welcome your questions. If you would, put them in the chat box, the question box, and we'll make certain that we either address them right in the presentation or include them as part of the follow-up that is being sent out to you. A bit of background on Premier itself. We're a national marketing organization founded in 1968 that's part of the Integrity Marketing Platform. We have offices across the country and act as an insurance wholesaler offering insurance services through independent insurance agents, people like you and me. We offer those contracts at the highest possible commission levels with recruiting contracts available for those who qualify. I mentioned we were founded in 1968, so this past year we celebrated our 50th anniversary. I think that's a notable milestone for a small family agency in rural Nebraska that has grown into one of the largest organizations of its type in the country. We're one of the largest producers in conjunction with the agents with whom we contract with many of the Medicare Advantage carriers, Medicare Supplement carriers, and ancillary partners such as our friends at Cigna today. This gives you an indication of the offices on the Integrity platform. Premier is contracted and licensed in all 50 states, and we welcome partnerships with agents across the country. We do that through a full insurance portfolio that includes major Medicare programs such as Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement plans and standalone Part D prescription drug programs. Our life insurance and annuity portfolio includes final expense life insurance and pre-need programs. We offer long and short-term care plans, disability income programs, and as exhibited today, I should say, ancillary programs that include dental, vision, and hearing programs, critical illness and cancer plans, and hospital indemnity programs. That Medicare Advantage portfolio includes all the big boys and many of the strong regional carriers that make a difference in your market. And that same philosophy rolls over into the standalone Part D PDP programs, where all the major carriers are available through our organization, as are some of the smaller regionals. That Medicare Supplement portfolio, easy for me to say, is very large and robust, and we offer unique support programs to help make that an integral part of your offerings to your prospects and clients. That ancillary product portfolio in those different categories, we feel this is particularly helpful for an agent who works in the individual health market, regardless of the age of your prospecting client, because we all share some of the same concerns and needs that are covered by these programs. When we speak to Cigna's supplemental benefits, we're dealing with one of the largest organizations in the country offering such plans, and our guest speaker today is Mr. Jim Codney, who's the Regional Vice President for individual sales with Cigna. I am at this particular point in time going to turn the presentation over to Jim, and lucky for you all, I shut up for a period of time and Jim takes the helm. Just a moment, Jim, there we go. You now have control.
Thank you, John. Hello, everyone. My name, as John said, is Jim Codney, and I just want to thank you for joining us today. I'm going to go through a couple of our top ancillary products. We'll start off with our #1 supplemental health product, which is our cancer, heart attack, and stroke lump sum product. And then we're going to move into accident treatment, which is a really robust schedule benefits for accidents. Similar to what John said, I'm here for you. So if you do have questions as we go, please feel free to add them to the question box. We will do our best to get all questions answered on this webinar. However, please keep in mind if you're asking about a specific scenario or client issue, it may make sense for John and his team to get back to you on an individual basis just for time's sake. So with that, let's get going. A little bit about me. Was first licensed back in 1999, so this is my 20th year in the industry. I've had property and casualty, life and health, as well as Series 6 and 63 licenses. So I say all that to let you know that I know how hard your job is. I know it's a thankless job a lot of times, and it's also a job where you don't want to waste time. So as we're in this webinar doing this today, I promise you I'm going to take as much time as I feel you need, but not a minute longer, because I know when you're sitting here listening to me and John talk about us and our products, you are now servicing your clients and putting food on your table. So let's get going. So Cigna Supplemental Health is actually on the Loyal American paper or charter, or whatever you want to call it. Loyal American is a subsidiary company owned by Cigna. So if you run into that and somebody asks, it's that simple of answer. Cigna owns Loyal American, and so it is a Cigna owned and made products. The first product we are going to talk about today is Flexible Choice. Again, it's our lump sum cancer, heart attack, and stroke product. Now, before we get into the product specs, I want to tell you that I'm a firm believer in this product line. I actually think it's one of the most underserved insurance products in the industry. You know, if you think back to, I may be younger or older than some of you, but when I was growing up, I used to come home and my dad would be home from work and I'd sit on his lap in the recliner, and before he fell asleep, he'd turn the news on and we'd be watching the news. And I remember specifically a lot of times on the news, there'd be stories of cancer rates, cardiovascular rates, etc., different types of cancer, and that it was such an epidemic in our country. And then when I started doing these presentations, I thought, when's the last time I really saw that on the news or anything other than if it was somebody I loved and cared about? And then it hit me. You know, nowadays we only talk about it if it's either somebody we love or care about that's affected, or if it's somebody famous that gets cancer or has a heart attack, stroke, or heart transplant. I mean, think about it. Most of us know that Luke Perry died recently from complications from a stroke. If you look at Burt Reynolds last September, he died from a heart attack. You know, and on and on and on. The news tells us about this only when it's somebody famous. I think what's happened in our society is we've come to accept that there's a big probability that somebody we love or we are going to have one of these issues. You know, as we look at statistics, and I'm not going to beat you over the head with statistics in this presentation, but roughly 1 in 2 men are going to have internal cancer in our lifetime. And ladies, you aren't much more lucky than us. You're roughly 1 in 3, and statistics also show your cancer rates are growing faster than ours. So it's likely that you will surpass us in the not too distant future with your likelihood of cancer. You know, so keep that in mind as you're trying to figure out what products make sense to offer to your clients if you are not currently offering a cancer plan, that you've got a huge market and your clients need it. You know, I'm a big believer that we're in a service industry, not a sales industry. And let me explain what I mean by that. You know, I believe if we service our clients, we're the insurance professionals. We go out, we explain to them what their exposure for financial loss is based on having a critical illness or an accident. And then we show them options of solutions to cover those financial perils. That's the service part. I believe if we do that, sales come naturally. Now let's talk about the product in general. It's available in most states from 18 to 99 in lump sum benefits of $5,000 all the way up to $100,000. Now, it's guaranteed renewable for life. So those of us here who work with seniors, you don't have to worry about it cutting off at a certain age. If your client needs it, wants it, and is willing to pay for it, they can have it as long as they pass the few easy underwriting questions. There's different ways to do some rates with individual, couple, and family options, and then we have some good riders for them available. So let's talk about the product. You know, it can be sold one of three ways. It can be sold either cancer standalone, heart attack and stroke standalone, or a base policy of cancer or heart attack and stroke and add the other as a rider. So you actually have a cancer, heart attack and stroke policy. Either way it works. So if your client just is worried about cancer, they can buy a cancer standalone. If they're just worried about cardiovascular stuff like heart attack and stroke, they can buy a heart attack and stroke. But if they're a believer that they're at risk for both, then you can put them both together in one policy. Now, this is one of the most important things that I want you to understand about our products. So if you're out there selling cancer policies right now, there are a lot of policies that are different than ours, and you may be wondering what I mean by that. So if you look under the cancer part, under the lump sum cancer coverage, you're going to see the term carcinoma in situ. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's okay. I'll explain it to you. What carcinoma in situ is localized cancer, non-metastasized, non-spreading cancer. So a lot of the other products out on the market actually only cover carcinoma in situ at 25% of the selected benefit. Now, folks, I'm going to tell you that even if you don't sell my cancer, please, please, please don't do that to your clients. Sell them a policy that covers that at 100%. And the reason I'm saying that is I've had real life discussions with agents that have sold those policies that only cover it at 25%. And then this is what I'm going to paraphrase what they said happens. A year or two later, 5 years later, their client gets cancer. Let's say that client bought a $10,000 lump sum benefit. Well, the client calls the agent to help them file a claim. And the agent says, well, can you tell me if that's carcinoma in situ? Well, first of all, the client probably doesn't know, so they have to go back and call the doctor's office to find out. And then when they find out, they tell their agent, yes, it is. And then as an agent, what you have to do is explain that instead of that $10,000 benefit your client was expecting to get, they're only going to receive a $2,500 benefit. Because I promise you, our clients don't remember that that's only included at a 25% of the benefit. They might sign even a form when you sell it to them, you know, a disclosure form if you're that meticulous of an agent. But when it comes to claim time, especially years down the road, they don't remember that. And it can be a really, really heartbreaking thing for your clients. And from what the agents I've talked to have said, it's a really difficult discussion. So again, even if it's not mine, please sell them one that covers that at 100%. Now, we also have something really nice on our cancer. It's a reoccurrence rider. There are some out there that don't allow a reoccurrence rider. Now, if you look at statistics, somebody who's had cancer is much more likely to be diagnosed with cancer again than somebody who hasn't. So with our rider, it's a couple dollars a month, and if your client's diagnosed with cancer, gets through and the cancer's gone and the treatment's gone, between 2 and 5 years, as long as they keep paying the premium, they've got 25% of that benefit built up already. At 5 years, it's 75% of the benefit, and at 10 years, 100% of the benefits back. Now, the great thing about that is they didn't have to wait 10 years to get a new policy or 5 years to get a new policy. Plus, they're still paying the premiums at the younger age when they originally bought the policy. They haven't had to wait 5 or 10 years, and now they're older, and now they're paying the steeper, higher rate of insurance because of their age. So it's a really nice rider to add to the policy. Now, the heart attack and stroke part of this product is really nice. It covers what I call the big three: heart attack, stroke, and a heart transplant at 100%. But it also covers things that I'm going to say are more preventative types of procedures: coronary artery bypass surgery, aortic surgery, heart valve repair replacement, angioplasty, and stents at a smaller benefit. So what happens is, let's say you have a client, again, with a $10,000 heart attack and stroke benefit. They go to the doctor, and the doctor says, hey, we need to do a coronary artery bypass surgery. We think you're at high risk. We need to do this. Well, what's great about that is we'll accelerate 25% of the benefit for your client to help offset copays and deductibles, but we're still going to reserve the other 75% of their lump sum if they ever have one of those big three: the heart attack, stroke, or need a heart transplant. So they haven't lost anything of the benefit, but we've accelerated some of it for when they need it to help offset those deductibles and copays. Now, it's very important to understand that on those accelerated benefits, we will only pay that once during their lifetime. So they can't go in and get coronary artery bypass surgery once, need it again, and get another 25%. It's sort of we'll accelerate it once for that, but not a second time. Now, this product also has what we call a restoration rider, but it actually works exactly the same as the reoccurrence rider I talked about earlier. At 2 years, there's 25% of the benefit. At 5 years, there's 75%, and at 10 years, 100% of the benefit. So your client doesn't go without coverage very long, even if they've just had a full lump sum claim paid. Now, we do offer some other riders. I'm going to be really honest with you. The hospital indemnity and the ICU riders, those are very specific to the client's needs, right? Now, they do also come with some extra underwriting. Some agents sell these, some don't. It sort of depends on what your client's other health care is. Now, one we do sell a lot is the one at the bottom of your screen right now. It's a return of premium rider. Now, you've probably been in an appointment before, and the client's biggest objection is, what if I never? So in this scenario, it'd be, what if I buy one of these policies from you, Jim, and I never have cancer, or I never have a heart attack and stroke? Well, if that's truly the client's objection, I would bring up the return of premium rider. And in a nutshell, what the rider does, and keep in mind, this is not I changed my mind 2 years later, Cigna, give me my money back. This is return of premium at death. But at death, if I bought this policy and I never used it, Cigna refunds or pays to my beneficiary, actually, every penny I spent on the policy, including the return of premium rider fee. So worst case scenario, a client, it is a glorified savings account for somebody you love and care about. Best case scenario, you unfortunately get diagnosed with a critical illness, and Cigna's there to help offset some of the financial peril that you or your family could go through. Either way, they can't lose. Now, you might see even at the bottom, it says less claims paid. Even if we pay out some in claims, let's say we accelerate some of that heart attack and stroke benefit, even if we've done that, as long as they've paid more than what we've paid out, we still refund every penny, including the rider fee. So it's a very nice, good rider for people who their only objection is, what if I never need that policy? So for state availability, as you can see on your screen now, we're available almost everywhere in the U.S. If any of you sell or are in Virginia, it's coming. It got approved. The product's probably not going to be in New York. New York has some different regulatory requirements of domicile, etc. So for those of you who live in and or sell in New York, we probably won't have a policy there. But everywhere currently besides Virginia and New York in the U.S., this product is available. So let's talk about rates, because no matter how good a policy is, if our clients can't afford it, it doesn't matter. So as you see on your screen right now, and in interest of disclosure, even though this is available at 18, I did senior rates because I believe most of us sell seniors, Medicare age, etc. Now keep in mind, obviously, if this quote was for a 40-year-old, it'd be a lot less. But at 66 years old, for a $5,000 cancer policy, you're looking at a $16 a month premium for your clients. Now, if you're doing $10,000 in cancer, it's $36.50 for a 70-year-old. So yeah, it's a little more expensive, but the client's 4 years older and we doubled the benefit. Now on this screen, I really want to accentuate something that's also important to know. These base policies can be sold at different buckets of money. And what I mean by that is if your client buys a cancer base policy with the heart attack and stroke rider on it, the payout, the lump sum coverage does not have to be at the same amount. So let's say your client has a family history of cancer, but not one of cardiovascular issues. Maybe they're more concerned about cancer, so they might want a higher benefit for their cancer policy, but they still want some heart attack and stroke. Well, you can do this with that. You can do that with our policy. You could sell a $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000 cancer and a $5,000 or $10,000 heart attack and stroke, or vice versa. So keep that in mind. The other thing I want to show you is, as I said earlier, you can see in the middle of the screen with cancer reoccurrence benefit rider. So basically, cents a month, a 67-year-old has the reoccurrence rider for a $10,000 cancer policy, and that only costs $2.60 a month. We sell a ton of our policies, a high percentage, with reoccurrence and restoration riders, because it's such a small premium that it makes sense for most of our clients. So let's talk about underwriting. Now, when I was out in the field selling, I used to think underwriting was short for sales prevention unit of insert carrier name here. Now, as I'm now on the other side of this conversation, I'm a proponent for underwriting, because if there was no underwriting, our clients, probably most of them, couldn't afford this policy. But what I want is fair, simple, easy to go through underwriting. Don't make me be a doctor to go through the underwriting questions with my clients, and don't make the underwriting questions so tough that 1 out of 20 can qualify. I need a reasonable underwriting. And I think on this product, we really have it. So on your screen now, question 1 will be read no matter what you sell in this. So, and basically I'm going to paraphrase this, but it is, have you ever, or do you now, had AIDS, HIV, or ARC, which is age-related complex? So if your client does or has ever had any of those, they won't qualify. Now, if you're selling cancer standalone, these are the additional 2 questions that you'd add to number 1. In the last 10 years have you been diagnosed, treated, or hospitalized or prescribed medication for symptoms of internal cancer, leukemia, Hodgkin's disease, other cancers of the blood, melanoma, et cetera, as you can see. The only other question you have to ask for the cancer is, in the last 5 years, have you been advised by a medical professional to go have a diagnostic test to see if you have cancer and that not come back negative? So that's it. If you're selling cancer, those 3 questions are all you have to ask. Now, if you're selling heart attack and stroke, if you're selling it standalone, you ask the AIDS, HIV, and ARC question, and if you're plus these 2, and if you're selling them together with cancer, you ask those 3 plus these 2. And again, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but basically it's, in the last 10 years, have you been told by a medical professional to go get tested for disease of the heart or circulatory system, and that not come back negative? And then the last one is, in the last 10 years, have you been diagnosed, treated, or hospitalized for heart attack, stroke, TIA, hypertension requiring 2 or less medications to control is okay. More than 2, meaning 3 or more, is not okay. Insulin-dependent diabetes, etc. So, and I know you guys can read, so I'm not going to read through that entirely. But again, that's it. Those are your underwriting questions. So if you're selling cancer, heart attack, and stroke together, that's your full underwriting. It's pretty simple. Now, before we get into that, I'm just going to say, again, this product is super easy to sell. And who do we sell it to? What are our clients? We sell a lot of it to Medicare Advantage clients. And this is what we're seeing with MA clients. We're seeing it being sold either at $7,000 or up to $14,000, $15,000. And what they're selling it for is to cover maximum out-of-pocket exposure, right? So they sit down with their client. They say, remember that MA product that I just sold you, or I sold you last month, which, by the way, this product can be added to an SOA for Med Advantage, but they're selling it to cover MOOP. So they remind the client of their exposure, and they say, hey, would you be interested in a product that could help offset that exposure? Now, some agents sell 1 year worth of MOOP exposure. Some sell 2. It depends on you and your client and their budget. And the only reason sometimes they sell 2 is because, keep in mind, if your client gets diagnosed with cancer, for example, in October, well, they're responsible for everything up to the maximum out-of-pocket exposure. Well, starting January 1st, that resets. So what they're trying to do is help their clients not run into that. Because let's be honest, a lot of our clients don't have $6,000, $7,000, or $15,000 just lying around to pay for that. On Medicare Supplement, it's a little different. It's being sold a lot for loss of work income. So if your clients have to take off more than they have vacation for to get treatment, travel expenses, experimental medication expenses, things like that, because that stuff's not covered by Medicare. And if it's not covered by Medicare, by default, it's not covered by a Medicare supplement policy. So just keep that in mind. Now we're going to roll into accident treatment and talk about that. So, believe it or not, with accident treatment, people fall. And I didn't realize this before I started doing this presentation when I joined Cigna, but falls are the #1 cause of ER visits every year, year in, year out, about 21% of ER visits. But it's for more than just falls. Anybody that's active. I've got a young family, 2 young active kids. They get in accidents all the time. They get hurt. That's okay. That's what a lot of kids do, right, when they're active. But also adults and seniors get hurt too, right? My grandmother, bless her soul, when she was living alone, she got hurt a lot. She'd fall. She'd, hurt herself so bad she couldn't get up, etc. This covers that too. So this policy is available 18 to 74, and it's guaranteed renewable till age 80. Please keep that in mind. And we'll get through the robust coverage on this policy in just a second. So this policy can be sold 3 ways or with 3 different coverage options, as you see on the screen now. Your basic, then your plus, and then your enhanced. Obviously, basic is the lowest cost and the lowest amount of coverage, and enhanced is the highest. Now, before we highlight a few things that are covered, I just want to explain the difference between an open reduction and a closed reduction. So what a closed reduction is, let's say I broke my arm and I go into the doctor and he or she sets it and just throws a cast on it. Says, Jim, we're going to stabilize this arm, and in 8 weeks, we'll take the cast off, you'll be fine. Well, that's a closed reduction. Now, conversely, if I went into the doctor and he or she said, Jim, we've got to open you up surgically and fix whatever happened to your arm, and then we'll cast it. As soon as they do a surgical procedure to restore that fracture or dislocation, that constitutes an open reduction. So that's the difference. If it's surgical, it's open. If it's not, it's closed. So let's bounce through a couple coverage. Now, I stick with the basic when I do these examples, because keep in mind, this will be the lowest amount of coverage your client will have. If they go to plus or enhance, obviously they'll get a decent amount more. But let's say your client breaks a leg, right? We're going to give them $375 if it was in an accident for a closed reduction. If they break like an arm, hand, or wrist, $190. Ribs, if it's a closed reduction, your client has an accident, just fractures a rib, $75. Also fingers and toes. You know, when I was a kid, my mom used to grab a tongue depressor, or she was a nurse, or a popsicle stick and some medical tape, and she would just tape my finger up to the finger next to it and stabilize it. But if your client's families aren't like mine, you know, we have coverage for that. So, you know, at $75, not too bad, even on the basic plan. We also have accident treatment. So if it's an emergency, $75 to go to urgent care or physician's office, $100 if they have to go to the ER. Follow-up treatment at $25. Even for ambulance, let's say your client has an accident and they need to be ambulanced out of wherever they're at. You know, $250 for ground or water, $1,000 if it's air. And believe it or not, where I live in Arizona, we have air ambulatory air evacuations all the time. We have people climbing the mountains out here. They twist their ankle or break their ankle climbing up the mountain. They're up near the top. There's no way for them to be extricated by traditional means of an ambulance just driving up. So they air evac them out. Other things covered, blood, plasma, and platelets, as you see, $100. If you look at diagnostic imaging, X-rays are $25 an image for an accident if they had an accident and need X-rays. Other diagnostic exams like MRI, CT scans, etc., $100 per image. Family lodging and meals. Let's say they had an accident and they need lodging or meals because they aren't at home. We give them up to $75 a day, even on the basic plan. As you see, hospital confinement, hospital ICU confinement, initial accident hospitalization. Now they're getting admitted, prosthetic devices, rehab therapy in facilities, and transportation. Again, a lot of coverage on the scheduled benefits. And lastly, there's even an AD&D portion of this. So if you ever have a client that's looking for AD&D, or you believe your clients need AD&D, if they're on a common carrier, even on the basic policy or the basic benefit, $75,000 for the insured, $15,000 for spouse and children. If they're not on a common carrier, it's $25,000 for the insured and $10,000 for the spouse and children. And then as you see, I won't get too morbid, but loss of 2 arms or legs, loss on sight of both eyes or both hands, or 1 eye or hands, or even fingers and toes. So again, that's the end of the coverage slides, but I just wanted to illustrate that there is a lot of coverage for your clients for not a lot of money if they have an accident, even if they just buy the basic plan. Now, I'm going to give you a really great thing on this. There is 0 underwriting on this policy, so all of your clients can qualify. Now, the only thing you need to do is figure out what they do or don't do for a living and put them in the appropriate class. So professionals, like everybody here on the phone, would be class 1. It's really important to note, though, that homemakers, retired people, unemployed, they're class 3. Now, I know initially that may not make sense to a few of you, but when we asked our actuaries why they're put in class 3 and not in class 1, statistically, those people actually have more accidents. So that's the reason why. So, but all you do is find out what your client does or doesn't do for a living and figure out the class. And if they have an accident, it doesn't matter what they do for a living. If they're police, fire, military, teacher, whatever it is, if they have an accident and they have this policy, those scheduled benefits come into play. Now, here's a couple, I got 3 sample rates, and excuse me, those 2 aren't right, I apologize, but this last one will at least give you an idea. If you have a client that's 66 years old that wants the basic plan, so the plan we went through, but they're considered class 1, let's say they're an insurance agent, not retired yet, etc., that would cost $30.25 a month. Now, we do illustrate that you can add a lump sum heart attack and stroke rider. You could also actually add a cancer lump sum rider. Personally, I would never add cancer or heart attack and stroke to this, and this is why. The coverage cost is the same. The underwriting's the same. But what's not the same is this policy is only guaranteed renewable, like we said, until age 80. If you're going to sell them cancer or heart attack and stroke, I'd sell a standalone flexible choice policy that we talked about initially, because that's guaranteed renewable for life. So same underwriting, same coverage, but it's going to be able to cover them for their whole life. Now, you're probably seeing a theme right now in product availability. It's not that we don't like Virginia and New York. It's just that regulatory, sometimes things take longer in Virginia, and New York's got some different things. If any of you sell in New Hampshire, that's also not available currently on this policy. Now, we talk about who's interested in, and I like to make it easier. Who's not interested in a policy like that? You know, a lot of us live in places where accidents happen a lot, whether you live in the Midwest or the North where ice gets on the road and sidewalks, or in the desert like I do and people hike and fall, or anything like that, or have active kids or active adults who can have accidents like we all do from time to time and get hurt. I think this policy is really good to complement and help offset, again, some of their copays, deductibles. It adds that financial security that a lot of our clients don't have now, but would love to pay for if they knew this was available. Now, as I finish, I like to finish with agent incentives when they're available. So we've actually got currently and going to be extended into next month, an incentive program. So any of the policies you see on the screen now at the bottom, including the 2 we talked about, we're actually doing an incentive. There's one in March that, but with March about over, I put April. So basically, as long as you sell 5 policies, you're going to get $25 extra per policy with no limit if you sell these in April. So just a nice little additional incentive for those of you who either are currently selling or are looking to add this to your portfolio. Now, the other incentive we've got going on, I'm really excited about, and it's our agent conference for 2020. Now, unlike a lot of our carrier competitors that started their qualification January 1st, so you might be sitting there thinking, gosh, I've already missed a quarter of the qualification. We actually start our qualification March 1st, and it goes through the end of February last year. So you've only, if you haven't even started selling, you've only missed a couple weeks, so you have plenty of time to qualify. Now, what's great about it is you can mix credits. So with that, we require $250,000 in production credits to join us in Monaco next year, but you get 300% credit for sup-health sales. So for the policies we just talked about, you get 3-for-1 credit. Now, if you sell MedSup, you get 1-for-1. A lot of our agents qualify just selling one type of product line, whether it's Medicare supplement or ancillary, but we also have a lot that sell some of both. They're selling MedSup to their clients, and then they're selling cancer plans, and they qualify for a trip. But we're going to go to Monaco, as you see on your screen, next year, and it is going to be an awesome trip. We do not limit the amount of qualifiers. So if you qualify based on your production credits and you're in good standing, you will be invited to come bring a guest and join us in Monaco next year. So real excited to have you. I really appreciate John and the team at Premier to welcome me and have me on this call. So John, I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to you to finish up, and thank you very much for your time, everyone.
Thank you, Jim. We do have a couple of questions, one of which is, today's meeting is being recorded and will come to everyone who responded to our outreach for the presentation as well. But the other one, Jim, deals with the restoration of benefit. Does that vary by state, or is the policy's directives on that consistent from state to state?
So what we do, that's a great question, by the way. So we have a product availability chart, John, and it'll show you. Now, if the restoration or reoccurrence is available in the state, I'm not currently aware of any state-specific variations thereof. There are some states that it is not available in, meaning the DOI didn't approve it. So if you have questions, I know our friends at Premier have the state availability chart, but it's also available on our agent website, which is the Agent View website, and you can look there. But so if it's available in the state, I'm not aware of any specific variations.
Awesome. And that state availability chart will come as part of the follow-up to today's presentation as well. So thank you, Jim. We appreciate that, and thank you for the presentation as well. One of the reasons why I'm a huge advocate of these policies is I have cancer and I've had a couple of strokes. And one of the things that you find with this unique bundle concept is the fact that if you go through chemotherapy, you're more susceptible to having a stroke. And once you have one, you are more susceptible to having a second one. That's why the coverages in conjunction are very close to my heart, and the fact that statistically it really lays out the need for the coverages and in a bundle such as what we have here today. So I'm grateful for Jim for his presentation and to Cigna for putting together such a nice little program. One of the reasons we really like to do business with Cigna and how we hope to make this a good part of your overall marketing program is some of the extra support that you get from Premier Marketing by contracting through our organization. And that includes a way to simplify your electronic contracting. If you're doing Medicare supplement programs, it's a great way for you to go in, create your agent profile, and electronically pull in some of the additional contracting that's necessary to offer these programs with multiple carriers. A singular piece of portfolio like what Cigna offers, they cover most of the bases, but this is a great way to add in life insurance and some of the other products that might be part of your overall marketing plan. As an independent insurance agent, we also need to make certain that we cover our TUCUS, and we do so by having the required errors and admissions coverage. What we do is we offer from Premier a discounted liability program that enables you to cover all your product lines with all your carriers, regardless of who you contract through. There are some organizations out there that will add you to their blanket E&O for products that you offer through them, but if you offer additional product elsewhere, which most of us do, well, that's not covered. So this is a great way of making certain that you have your protection that you need for yourself, your agency, and your family. We also make certain that you keep your license in good stead by offering discounted continuing education bundles through our relationship with WebCE. And since you are an independent agent and you maintain your own benefit package, we also offer non-cancelable disability income with modified underwriting and discounted rates through a program with our organization as well. It's a great way to add to your own personal benefit package, and you share in the commission you write on yourself. We do offer also a way of getting in front of folks with these programs through different training programs and marketing ideas and concepts that are presented on a regular basis. They are libraried on our website. We also have a singular list of all these different presentations that we've done in the past, including links to their recordings, much as today's presentation is being recorded. Past presentations have been as well. And you can also find out about future webinars on our website additionally as well. One of the nice pieces that really come into play now is the fact that we're able to do some things electronically. Back in the day when I was a carrier rep, we had a program where 80% of the applications that came into our organization were pended. The chief reason being most of us speak English or another language that is also written, and the language that we wrote on an application was usually Chickenese and they couldn't read it. So doing some things electronically does a number of different things for you. It simplifies the process for you and your client. It speeds up that process so they have their program in place more quickly and you get paid more quickly as well. We also bundle in different online enrollment programs through our Medicare Center program for Medicare Advantage and prescription drug programs, and the CSG Actuarial Market Advisor e-app that helps you with some additional electronics as well. Cigna has an incredible e-app that they use for their programs, and it is available as part of their contract as well. So different ways for you to reach out to your target market and do so efficiently and effectively. We do also have a program that can put your social media marketing on autopilot. There's additional information available on the recordings that are linked here as well. And Jim mentioned the different incentives that they offer through Cigna. Multiple carriers will do that as well. We offer our own producer convention trip as well. This month, a whole bunch of folks are going to Jamaica. 2020 trip will be rolled out this month at those meetings. It's really nice to have all these wonderful products, but it's also really nice to be able to talk to somebody about them. We can help you do that. We do offer custom contact lists available to you for programs that do allow telemarketing. There are certain restrictions in the Medicare world with Medicare Advantage and PDP programs, but when you deal with Medicare supplements for the vast majority of the carriers or for the ancillary programs, that is not a concern. And these lists are available to you at a deeply discounted rate, or depending upon your contracting situation, perhaps on a gratis basis as well. The programs that Jim discussed today are also great presentations for work in the community. We have a program that helps you market to and through faith-based organizations, programs such as those discussed today are a great topic for that as well. Make it part of your rotation of your educational seminars. We also have programs that help you work with providers, the folks that actually deliver on the care that these programs cover. And believe it or not, man, 3 days left in March, and it's already time for Walmart and some of the other retail programs are being rolled out when it comes to store selection. We have a webinar in a couple weeks about that. So if you are involved in that or look to be involved in that, please become a part of that program and attend that webinar. Carriers also do some different things for marketing support. Jim mentioned the extra incentive with Cigna. Many agents will take those dollars and reinvest it in themselves and their agency and generate leads through that. We are piloting a program with internet leads as well, and we do offer direct mail support based on production that deeply discounts the cost of a mailer through our preferred lead vendors. We have preferred lead vendors in order to make certain that we keep things compliant. That's a big challenge in the Medicare world, as you're all aware, and we want to make certain that we protect you and ourselves in that fashion. All that said and done, a ton of wonderful material today, a great carrier to partner with, an organization like ourselves that wants to be part of your business. We ask for the opportunity to earn your business and work with you to grow your agency. That begins with contracting and marketing these programs, and that's a decision you have to make, but we ask you to do it on a timely basis. There's the old expression, when all is said and done, more is said than done. Well, you've got some grand opportunity here. There's a huge need for it. You put 10 people in a room and you ask them if they know anybody who's ever fought cancer or had heart problems or a stroke. It's kind of hard to find someone who won't say they don't know someone. There's a huge need for these products, and we ask that you consider Cigna as part of your marketing program. Look for contracting information if you haven't already done so. Work with us with the program and put it in action quickly. The old, I'll get round to it, well, never really happens in many circumstances. You can reach any of the marketers here at Premier Marketing through our toll-free number of 1-800-365-8208 or through our website at premiersmi.com. We look forward to the opportunity of visiting with you and engaging these programs as part of your marketing program and making Cigna a key carrier in your portfolio. We want to thank you for the investment of your time with us today. We look forward to visiting with you in the very near future, and there are opportunities that await us both. We want to discuss them with you, and we'll make certain that the follow-up to today's presentation will speak with the opportunities to contract and how that will work for you. So watch for that information that will come to you, and we will make certain that we get things out to you on a timely basis. That all said, thanks again for coming on the line, and we look forward to visiting with you very soon. Happy selling.